everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm Amy.
And I'm Sarah, and today we're going to be discussing What I Should Have Said by Max Monroe.
The first few minutes, we're going to do a brief review of the story without any spoilers. Then we are going to shift into a deeper book discussion. It's going to include lots of spoilers, but don't worry, we will let you know before we do shift into that deeper book discussion.
That's right. So before we dive into the discussion, Amy, tell us what the story is all about.
On her wedding day, a young woman receives a letter from a woman that will have her running from her wedding, away from her hoity-toity upper-class life, toward the hills of Vermont where her sister lives. She hitches a ride from a grumpy guy who harbors secrets of his own. This enemies to lovers small-town story has secrets, heartbreak, tension, and healing. Sarah, what did you think about What I Should Have Said?
Okay, well, I was completely surprised to all of this because you had actually started it and said, hey, I think we have a book here on our hands for the podcast. So
Yes.
I went in completely blind. I did not know anything about what the story was going to entail. And I was very pleasantly surprised by a lot. I didn't know some of the serious components that it was going to take on. Everything about this, I had no expectations. And it was really delightful for me because I could just go in and not know really what was kind of going to happen next and what to expect. Yeah. So what did you think?
I too went into this one blind, surprisingly. This is the first book that I've read by Max Monroe, and I loved it. I love small town romances.
Yeah.
I just love the the connection that the characters have in a small town vibe. I love the enemies to lovers vibe. That's one of my favorite tropes. And watching their connection grow throughout the story, I love it. I was here for it.
Yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised by just the little twists and turns and all the things that the story entailed.
I was too.
All right, let's get into our ratings. Angst.
This was just like a 1.75. There is definitely some angsty moments throughout, but it's not a gritting teeth the entire time. I think there's some other that are a little bit
100%
more.
agree with you. I did 1.5 for all the same reasons. It's not heavy on the angst at all.
No.
All right, humor.
Humor. It was a 1. There's
I did
some,
1.5.
Yeah,
Close.
there's some, and I could probably bump mine up a little bit. There's some moments, but it's not like
It's more
all
like
throughout.
chuckling and
Yeah.
just kind of sprinkled here and there.
Yes, that's a good way to describe it. Yeah.
All right, spiciness.
Like a 1.25.
I did 1.5.
Yeah.
There's not a lot.
No, there's good tension.
There is great
A lot of
tension.
flirting.
All right, tears.
It was a 3.
Same. Yeah, it was more sad than anything
Yeah.
else, for sure.
It has
There's
some-
a part of the storyline that does contain some heavy things and heavy topics and things
Yeah.
like that, so definitely higher
Yeah.
on the tiers. Overall.
Overall, it was a 4.25.
Me
I love
too.
I love it when we're the same
I know.
with overall. This story is so good, and it just, you should just, if you haven't read it, you need to read it. It's fabulous. I don't know what more to say.
Yeah, I loved
it.
the chemistry of the characters. I mentioned that. It did feel a little bit insta-love to me, which we'll get into in the deeper discussion.
Yeah.
But overall, 4.25 for me.
I agree.
Loved it. All right, that concludes the spoiler-free quick review of this story. Now we're going to shift into a deeper book discussion. If you would like to continue the conversation with us, simply click the link below or open any podcast platform and search Post-Book Depression. Then we would love to connect with you on social media. You can find us on Instagram at Post-Book Depression Podcast, on Facebook in our Post-Book Depression discussion group. You can also email us at postbookdepressionpodcast@gmail.com.